Hello, I'm the Guitar Geek, and welcome to my personal tones on this week's Katana Tone Tuesday. These patches are the ones I created when I did the video with the Katana 100 versus the Katana Artist. And that video alone should show you that these patches are a starting point, so don't take them as gospel. Take them, use them, adjust them, tweak them, do what you want with them. They're free. Second to AC/DC, this is the most requested selection of patches I've had. There have been literally dozens of requests. So, here they are. Patch 1 is called Rockabilly Slap, and it sounds like this. Even though the patch is quite clean, it's on the crunch channel, which I love doing with the Katana, and then backing off the volume on the guitar. When I really hit the strings, you can hear that sort of crunch coming through. So, amp, crunch. Gain at around 20, so around 9 o'clock, and volume to taste for the channel and make sure all the patches are roughly the same. As for the EQ, the mids and the trebles are rolled off a little bit, probably to warm up that SG. As it's a slapback delay patch, we're going to need some delay. There it is. It's the tape echo to give it that sort of vintage sound. A very short 130 millisecond delay time with a fairly short feedback and a sort of 50-50 direct to effect mix. There's also some reverb on there. This is a spring, again, to give it that sort of vintage amp tone. The reverbs in the Katana are my least favorite thing about the Katana, but this spring, if you dial it in correctly, is actually okay. Presence is rolled back again to give it that warm, sort of more vintage sound. The cabinet resonance is on vintage, unsurprisingly. Let's move to Dumb Old Blues, patch number 2. It sounds like this. It is a clean patch with a little bit of bite added to it. So I'm on the clean amp with the gain at 60 and the volume at 100. Now, talking about this, seeing it at 100 looks weird, but we're not doing looks, we're doing sounds. And I can't remember who said it, but if it sounds good, then it is good. I would adjust this, I would tweak this a little bit. It's a little bit too dark for my tastes right now, but you can also do that with your patches when you download them. Mids is pushed all the way up to cut through nicely, bass rolled off a little bit, and a bit of top frequencies as well. A lot of presence. We've got some booster. The clean boost, this is what's giving it that gritty little edge. Tone is rolled off, so I'm bringing back the frequencies there. I don't think I adjusted the bottom and the effect level. That's pretty standard. And we've got some reverb for feel, for realness, for room, even though it's on the whole setting. There's not much in the effect level versus the direct mix, so we've got a lot of direct mix coming through there and just a little bit of ambience from the whole reverb. Let's check out the speaker, again on vintage. No surprise there. Patch number 3 is titled Crunchy. This patch is for me when I play open chords and some riffs around the lower frets. So it's nice and full. There's a delay on there so I can leave those chords ringing and play some sort of riffy notes. It's on the crunch amp. Gain is around 36. It's exactly 36. Volume's around halfway. Bit more bass, and again adjust this to taste. I have got, what have I got on there? I've got a booster. The Gov DS, one of my favourite pedals from Marshall, and the Katana does a good job of emulating it. Fair amount of drive, not very much tone going on, and a lot of bottom. And a lot of effect. Wow, that's a lot more than I expected. But sounds good, doesn't need to look good. What else do we have? Effects. We've got, not effects, sorry, we've got delay. An analog delay just to fill out those notes so that when you're playing the chords, there's still something ringing when you add in a little bit of riff. And some reverb, again, for feel. The whole reverb, I seem to like that one a lot. And full-on direct mix and about halfway with the effect level. Adjust it to taste. My room is quite dead. If you've got a live room or you're gigging with these patches, then you may want to adjust how much reverb because that will affect how it sounds live. System, vintage again. It's a vintage rock sort of tone, And I generally don't mess with this at all. The live line out is quite a favourite of mine, but I don't really use the line out, if I'm honest. Next patch. This patch is loosely, very loosely based on 100 Mile High City by Ocean Colour Scene. So it's that mid-90s faux 60s sound. It's on the crunch amp and it's got more gain than the crunchy setting, but there's no booster on this preset, so that makes sense. Gain at 50, volume at 40, that's to taste really, so it depends on your guitar volume as well. EQ also to taste. That gives you an indication of what I was looking for, but, you know, tweak it. What else do we have? We have an effects. We have a limiter on there. And what that's doing is that's making sure that I don't go over a certain volume, which works really, really nicely in the Katana. So thank you, Katana. Thank you, boss. Reverb, again, it is just for adding a little bit of realness. It's a plate. Direct mix is full on, and we're just adding a little bit of effect just to make sure it's not too dry. Once again, adjust that to taste. Presence is at 0. And the system, probably the vintage. Vintage is my favorite setting for most of my patches. On to the next one. This is obviously an homage to Carlos Santana's Smooth and Rob Thomas. It's a very thick, creamy sounding, sustainy patch. Crunch amp, not surprising. Gain at 35, fair bit of gain, but that's pushed with the booster pedal, which again is the Gov DS. Slowly becoming one of my favorite things about the Katana. Drive, a reasonable amount of drive, but tone is backed off and bottom is pushed because you want to make this nice and thick. The effect level is quite high because we want to make sure that it comes through nice and tight. Bass is backed off a little bit because I'm pushing it with the pedal, and the mids to make it cut through, and the trebles pulled away to make it sort of thicker and chocolatey. I'm using the neck pickup on the SG, which is again making it a thicker sound. Onto the effects section, I am using a graphic EQ and cutting the tops rather than boosting too much of anything else, just again to push that chocolate sound. Is it chocolate? Is it brown? I don't know. Whatever Santana calls it. And then I'm using a reverb again to give it a bit of realness, a bit of in-the-room sound. Adjust that depending on what room setting you're using. Presence at about halfway, and vintage cab once again. On to the last patch, Gentleman. I confess I am not a genter. I find this type of music a lot of fun to play, and I love to drop tune. I think the guitar's in drop C for this one, and just chug, chug, chug. That being said, I have no idea what I was doing with this patch. I just added a load of gain and took away some mids. So if you're looking at this and thinking, what has he done? You're quite right. I didn't know what I was doing, but I hope to learn. And if you can help me out with that, then please leave me a comment down below. I am on the brown channel, the brownest of the channels. The gain is at 95, which is a ridiculous amount of gain. Volume to taste, EQ, cutting those mids, but not all the mids. Treble, backing it off. The guitar itself is quite bright, so maybe that's why. You're going to have to adjust this to your guitar. And bearing in mind that I'm in dropped C, so in standard tuning it's going to sound a lot different. For the boost, I don't have the metal zone. I have the crunch OD, so I didn't want to go too far into metal zone territory. However, a fair bit of drive, tone backed almost all the way, and bottom pushed almost all the way. Crazy patch. Delay, effects, parametric EQ. Not doing much, but it is doing a little bit, so it's sort of just tweaking, not really shaping. Onto the reverb, again, just for taste. Got the Hall reverb on this one, and direct mixes all the way, and just a touch of the effect is going on here. Presence is at 50, I didn't touch that, probably should have. System, did he use deep? No, he didn't. Vintage, once again I've kept it on vintage because with the down-tuned guitar and the sound of the EQ, I felt it sound better on vintage. Maybe I should have left the EQ a little bit more flat and put this onto deep mode, giving me more bass response from the speaker. I don't know. But again, I'm an amateur gentleman. That's it. Those are my personal patches part 1, which kind of indicates that there might be a part 2 or even a series. That's not been planned yet, but I'm sure it's something I'll do in the future. Let me know in the comments what you think. The patches are free to download, and there'll be a link down there in the description. My patches are and always will be free. However, if you want to support me, you can do so by clicking this Patreon button here. You can watch another video from me by clicking something here, and you can subscribe to my channel by clicking somewhere up here. Download the patches, have some fun, and I'll see you in the future. Bye-bye.